Hey guys, so today we're doing a review of this, or actually its NJR counterpart. What you're looking at is the original release Madthunder from 1988, but in this video I'm going to unbox and build the NJR version, which came out in 2001. That's why this video is so long. I actually filmed the entire build, because I figure most people today will likely never get their hands on an MIB Madthunder, and since we're all stuck at home, I thought I'd give you guys something a little special to watch. But enough talk, let's get to it.
Robo Shop.
Alright, let's do this. If you could see the messy setup I have right now. So here is the box of the NJR version of the Madthunder. As you can see, this thing is absolutely massive, and not only because of its dimensions on this side, but also because it's extremely, like you can see, if I flip it over, you can see just sort of the height of, or do you call that depth or height? I actually don't know. Well, the size of the box. Let me, as a comparison, show you, like, for example, here's a Vallejo paint bottle. You see this? It's ridiculous. I'm pretty sure the this is the biggest box in Zoid's history. The Gilvader box might be the same size. Actually, no, of course, no. The King Gojulus is bigger, but that's like its own sort of unique dimensions. This is still within like normal Zoid's box dimensions. I think length and like these edges here are the same size of the Madthunder box. It just has more volume. So yeah, we have here on the front, again, this being the NJR version, you have very much sort of an NJR type box art here with a couple of 72nd scale soldiers running around looking a little anachronistic, I have to say. The Zoid actually just standing there, and none of the usual stuff that we're used to from the Zoid's wild boxes now, where they're in poses they can't actually accomplish. Although I don't see what you would want to do with Madthunder in terms of like getting it in acrobatic poses. It looks imposing enough just standing there. What I think is kind of funny is this. I mean, like, what are these? Aren't these supposed to be barrels, you know? And then they have these stickers on them. I don't know. Maybe that's meant to be like a radar to help this target. But anyway, what I'm talking about is there's stickers on here. Anyway, let's take a look here. On the side, you have the same design that the NJR box has always had. This shows all the movement gimmicks. The horns rotate. I think if I remember this correctly from the battle story, these are like drills or something. They rotate at 2 different speeds. That's what the switch is for. We have a cockpit here. A mouth opens and closes. This wheel rotates. The tail swings side to side. And these don't actually move on their own, but they're posable. And there's also a command bridge here on the side. We're going to take a look at all of that when it's built. On the side here is another really cool image that I can't really... Or hold on, maybe I can... If I flip this over... Sorry guys, but I wanted to do a proper live unboxing. We got to talk about this too. I wanted to do a proper live unboxing instead of just taking pictures. And it's just, I would have to dangle my phone from the ceiling basically to get everything in the shot. Okay, another really cool photo manip here that shows the horns rotating and the mouth glowing. And here we have it, old school battle story. We have it fighting a Death Star. If I remember correctly, in the old battle story, of course there's like 15 versions of that, but in the old battle story, the Madthunder was specifically developed by the Republic to counter the Empire's Death Star. Anybody who's more of a battle story scholar, feel free to correct me on that. Anyway, we have a whole lot of Japanese fluff here. We have tech specs. This side has the same thing. And this side just has some technical data, I guess, for shipping and stuff. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is going to be the worst unboxing I've done in a while, but I'm doing it with a Madthunder, so you know, I was going to say don't at me. Okay, let's see what's in here. We have unsprue. We're going to look at all these parts in detail in a second, don't worry. More sprues. There's, of course, not actually that many parts. This is all the armor bits. And the legs. This is the torso halves, like massive. And we have the bag with the caps and the instructions and a card. Let me get this out of the way so I can stick my arm in the box. Yeah. This is the gearbox. Hold on, this is the gearbox with the light that actually drives the movement. And there's another one. Yeah, this is the gearbox that goes on the back. That the horns plug into, if I remember correctly. Now let's take a look. Nope, that's it. That's everything that's in the box. So I'm gonna get set up for checking out the parts, which means about half an hour of now moving everything back to where it usually is. So I'll be back in a moment. All right, back to somewhat normal. It's really everything about this kit is so massive. It's just basically impossible to do this. But anyway, let's take a look at the gearboxes first, and then I'll get everything out of the backs for you. This has a lot of static cling, apparently. Okay, so this goes on the head. As you can see, there's a gear here that connects to these parts, and this is what drives the movement of the horns. A lot of nice detail here, of course. A grill on the front, panel lines, another grill here. Sort of a precursor, really, now that I think about it, of all these sort of ready-made gearboxes that were on the that are on the Zoids Wild kits these days. Now that I think about it. This is the one that goes on the back. As you can see, yeah, this, if I remember correctly, right, this plugs into the main gearbox that holds the battery compartment, which then makes this whole thing rotate. This connects with the piece on the head, and here is where you switch it back and forth between slow and fast mode. Let me see if I can demonstrate that. So this is slow, right? And now we should be able to see, like, this. This rotates. Now if I set it to fast, yeah, you can see now I'm spinning the wheel on the back at the same speed as before, and this is rotating much faster. So yeah, this is the command bridge. A lot of nice detail here if you want to get that all painted up, which I will someday. And finally, in the gearbox department, we have this guy, which takes 2 size C batteries, which honestly I'm not even sure I have any. I'm gonna have to check. Have to make another trip to the store otherwise. Anyway, these are really far apart. These are close together. This is the front, this is the back. This no doubt drives the movement of the I don't know, actually. I don't know what this does. Oh, it's the power switch. And this, see, this is what this on the back here plugs into to drive the movement of the horns and the entire contraption on the back. Okay, now let's take a look at some parts. And by some parts, I mean all of them. This is going to be a long video, but that's the idea. I'm going to talk about what the idea is a bit more later, by the way, when I'm doing the build. And I probably announced that in the intro as well, but anyway, let's toss the bag. These rubber caps, you know, when they've been in the bag for 20 years, they smell pretty bad. They're still nice and fresh and flexible though, so that's good. Old school Zoids caps. Now we have here. I don't know if I should take that out of the bag. I'm worried about you losing this stuff. Also, this tape has been on here since the late 90s. And now it won't come off anymore. Okay, for some reason, two extra caps. I don't remember where these go. They're different. See, this comes with like Gajula style caps with these with this little like peg in the middle, and these are actually Red Horn comes with these. I think this is what all the Empires always had. Weird. Here we have these two C rings that no doubt go onto some mechanical piece to help the movement. It doesn't say what kind of plastic it is, but it seems like ABS if I have to guess. 1, 2, 3, 4 pilot figures, mostly for the command bridge. One guy goes in the head, the other 3 go in the command bridge on the back. And this is the window that goes on the bridge here, because there's no eye part. That's the light here that's attached to the gearbox. That's already the eyes, from what I remember at least. It's been a while. Good old-fashioned NJR style sticker sheet. I'm probably not going to use these at all because they're pretty cool, but first of all, I've always felt like most of these are too small for the size of the Zoid. I may show you a comparison to the original release one that has much bigger stickers. And also, of course, the NJR stickers they're so thick. Really, once you have them on, they feel like they're about 1 millimeter thick. It's ridiculous. Okay, and then we have Zoid's fan book. Let's see. You can see here that the Madthunder actually came out sort of in the late stages of the NJR, so we actually have the Berserk Fuhrer was already out here, Gunbluster, the König Wolf, wow, I don't remember. This was called the Blade, the Liger Zero Sauga, I think. This is the Empire Liger. I honestly don't remember this one even. This was called Ground Char, I think. Didn't have a motor, and this is Dialo Force, although we called him something else at the time. And also, oh, cool. I forget what this was called, but this was like this massive like transport thing that these little Gashapon-sized Zoids went into. The battle cards game. This was Zoid Saga. That was a video game at the time. And they're also advertising the Holotech or Crystal or whatever they were called at the time. I can't remember. Yeah, it's like a trade-in with these Z points, but I don't remember how that worked. I have this guy, and I'll tell you this. If you see any of these Crystal, Holotech, whatever, clear Zoids on eBay, don't buy them. They'll only break your heart. I mean, first they'll break apart, and then they'll break your heart. They are so brittle. They don't really look that great, and they're brittle as hell. And it's not fun. I got the Crystal Death Star because I wanted to have every variant of Death Star, which I do. Yeah, it's I mean, it's a lot on it is already broken, and every time I touch it, I feel like it's just gonna turn into dust. Anyway, the instruction booklet has the box art here, sort of poorly photocopied in blue. And then we have a parts list. Okay, I'm just checking this real quick. So yeah, I didn't lose anything. I have everything. And then, of course, building instructions, like as in a lot of the later NJR kits, the new parts in every step are in blue. Make it easier for the kits. Yeah. Tells you to put the batteries in at the end, of course. Instructions on how to use it. This, which again, I think this came with every single one of them. And I think this tells you, like, don't hold it or touch it when it's moving. But, you know, obviously I don't really speak Japanese, so I don't know what that says. Memo. It's like, you know, the number of pages didn't come to a multiple of 4, so we had to fill this with so much. Let's just put the Republic logo there and say memo. Okay, there's a number you can call if you have trouble that I'm sure is still going to work, and some Japanese dude is going to answer and tell you how to put together your Madthunder from the late 2000s. Okay, that's the instructions. Now, let's see. Bag the next. I don't even know where I'm going to put all this stuff. These are, of course, the torso halves, and they are, as you can see, absolutely massive. I can actually measure this here with my scruffy ass cutting mat. This is 10 centimeters, and this is 35 centimeters, so this is 25 centimeters long. I think that's pretty much exactly 10 inches for our cousins on the wrong side of the Atlantic there. I love this mechanical detail here. These look like sewage pipes, but okay. And then these tubes and whatever this is, and just lots of tubing, and yeah, just really cool. I'm sure at this point in the video, because I'm editing this later, I've already mentioned about 15 times that Madthunder is my favorite Zoid of all time. And if now is the first time I mention this, now you know Madthunder is my favorite Zoid of all time. And to some degree, this video is just an excuse for me to build a Madthunder for no reason. Okay, a lot of tape on this bag. Don't feel like using the knife. This video is going to be too long anyway, so doesn't matter. Come on. All right, here we go. Get rid of this bag here. Put this sprue away for the moment. This is all the armor parts, which, as you can see, have this sort of... I kind of wish these were actual rivets and not holes, sort of indicating rivets. And on at least one version of the Zoid that I'm going to build, I'm definitely going to glue rivets over every single one of these holes, which is going to take forever, but you know. Yeah, I mean, the general armor design is that it's these plates that are then held together by the outer plates with rivets on them. A little bit of greeblies going on here. That's the armor. This is basically the legs and the underbelly. Again, tons and tons of nice detail on the legs here. Looks a bit like a mutated train, which is one reason for one of the custom ideas I've always had for Madthunder. This goes on the underbelly here. This is the bottom of the tail. Yeah. That may not have been in the shot there, but these sprues are really big. Next, there's only 4 backs of parts here, because this is an old school Zoid, so the parts are really big. Like, you know, in those days in the NJR, actually the kits had gotten more and more complicated, more and more parts. And of course Madthunder is like from the 80s, so this is already, at the time, it was a blast from the past. Just the simplicity of the model. And I'm just talking over myself, struggling to get these bags open in case you hadn't noticed. I'm also making a giant mess all around this desk. Here we have the weapons, which really have, of course, super nice detail on them. They also are going to have a seam line just running down the middle. At least this is fixable. There's some other seam lines that you can't really do anything about, unless you want to get really fancy, which I probably won't. Seam line removal, not one of my strengths. More armor here for the tails. This is the horn that goes on the nose. So a mechanical piece here that's going to drive the movement of the legs. More armor. Can't remember where this goes. Mechanical stuff, greeblies. And then we have another dark. This, by the way, I don't know, this may appear black on camera, but it's actually very a very sort of a dark, cool gray, which looks really, really nice in real life. Anyway, here we have the feet, nice and stompy. We have the, again, I don't know if this is another cannon or if this is some sort of targeting device. This is the tail here. Whoa. This holds the gun. This seems to go on the tail as well. Some less interesting mechanical bits. And finally, we have this bag. Come on. If your kids are getting on your nerves because of the quarantine, let them play with these bags. Did I just say that out loud in a video that's basically a toy review? I'm sorry. You don't come here for the wholesome humor, do you? Anyway, more mechanical stuff. This is legs. This is, can't remember. I think this goes on the feet somewhere. Another gun. These are actually the connecting bits that help drive the movement of the legs, because you know this is an old Zoid, so it actually has jointed legs. Wow, this gun's completely hollow on the inside. And finally, yeah, another sort of layer of torso here, and of course this is the horns. Oh yeah, now I remember. I think these C-ring clamps, they go on these. So yeah, I believe that was all the parts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the camera and I'm going to get all these parts off the sprues, get them trimmed, clean up the nubs, and then we're going to see how it goes together. All right, let's get started. I've tested the gearbox, so the motor absolutely still works when you put batteries in it. So I'm just going to start building here. While I do this, by the way, I think I mentioned a couple of times now, in sort of the lead up to, during the unboxing, that I was going to explain a bit more about why I'm doing this. And basically the reason I'm doing this is because, on my favorite YouTube channel, Model Making Guru, which really is the best YouTube channel in all of the interwebs, and you should all be subscribed. The guy Fox, the guy Fox, it's not November, is it? Fox, which is what the channel owner goes by, said he was going to do streaming basically every day now to give people something to watch, because we're all stuck at home, right? And I just kind of thought, what can I do? And not a whole lot, because I'm actually super busy with work at the moment. By the way, this is, I just wanted to show you, like, this is the gearbox that goes on the back here, right? And you lock it in place with one of these really big ones. Okay, so anyway, like I was saying, I just decided, the only thing I really can do at the moment, because I'm too busy with work, and I don't have any new Zoids Wild kits at the moment, is to do another review of an old Zoids model. And then I thought a bit about which one to do, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to crack this Madthunder out of the box, because I actually have... I probably shouldn't tell you guys this, because it's going to sound like a weird flex, but it really isn't. I actually have two of these MIB, which I bought back in the NJR days, when they were actually not that expensive. I paid maybe like $50 for them. And I pretty much just bought them as sort of backups and spares, and in case I ever had an idea for a kit bash, or I wanted to paint one, which incidentally I have ideas for both of that. And so I decided, you know what, if I'm going to do a review of an old Zoids model, this is what the tail attaches to. If I'm going to do a review of the old Zoids, of an old Zoids model, I'm going to make it something that most of the viewers of this channel are probably never going to be able to get their hands on, because I don't even want to know how much a Madthunder goes for these days. And so, and also Madthunder is, I think I've already said that probably 15 times in this video at this point. Madthunder is my favorite Zoid of all time, and so might as well make it this one. So that's why this video exists. If it doesn't all go horribly wrong, that is, because I actually can't see the camera because I had to move it a little farther up. I'm also looking for a part here. Here it is. There's a few too many parts on my left here, trust me. It's actually more parts than I thought it was going to be, and of course they take up a lot of space because they're so big. Anyway, this is supposed to attach. This is the top jaw, and it's supposed to attach here somehow, though I'm not entirely sure how right now. Hold on a second. You are meant to. It's supposed to like slot into. What just fell off? The tail. It's supposed to slot into. Supposed to slot into this on this here on the side. I also have to make sure that the cable for the light stays where it's supposed to be. You know what? I think what I have to do, in my defense, this is only the second time in my life that I'm building a Madthunder, and the first one was like literally in the NJR days, so like a million years ago. I also just realized something. This cable should probably not be like right on top of, yeah, let me get this back out. See, that's what I get for talking while I was getting the stuff ready. This is really not the best idea. I also don't quite understand why the cable is attached on this side, but it is. Hold on. I'm gonna thread this through like this. That's better. Like so. And then like it's supposed to thread through this opening there. I mean, obviously I can't have it like going across the batteries. That doesn't make any sense. Also forgot there is supposed to be a rubber cap here on the side. Okay. All right. Let's try this. I'm actually going to take a look at the instructions again, which actually do tell me to. Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. I'm going to try it like this. Put this back in place. Put this on here. And looks like there's something I'm doing wrong. Because these pieces aren't, whoa. These pieces aren't slotting together properly. I don't understand why. Cable's kind of caught behind something. Well, I'm telling you guys, there's going to be an edit. I just want to see if this is reasonably loose. It is. Oh, that should be okay. That should be okay. All right. So, next, finally, we put the jaw on top here. I don't remember any of this being so weird, honestly. And feed as much as we can of the cable back in there. And this attaches. Man, I am an idiot. You see this? You see this? I've got the teeth pointing upward. No wonder this didn't attach properly. Okay. Now, that was me getting up to check the camera, by the way. Is it still recording? It is still recording. Okay, here we go. This is how you attach the eyes here. And then we put a cap on here. I don't understand why this is happening. This is very strange. Very strange and very uncomfortable, but anyway. You see this? Like, there's this piece in here, and this is supposed to go on top of that. And then just sort of in here, I guess. Clack, clack. All right. And once I've done this, I can put in the batteries and test it. It was definitely working without like anything attached to it, but right, this goes on the tail. Alrighty. Now, wait. No, this is the battery cover. This goes on the throat here, like so. Clack, glomp, kavomp. Okay. And now I also have to. Those of you who've built a lot of old Zoids know that most of them came with like 1 million of these, like these clamp parts, you know, to hold things together. Madthunder comes with 1. Everything else is camouflaged by things like these giant like underbelly parts here. Okay, now there's another. This is another actually, you know, holder together clamp goes on here, like so. And now let's put in the batteries and see if we can get this baby come to life. Okay, here we go. Okay. Just making sure the switch is in the off position. There you go. So see, this actually does not drive one of the legs. This does. This is for a decorative part that goes on the side here. I'll show you that in a second. What I also want to... Actually, no, I can't show you that yet. Also, I made a mistake. I'm supposed to attach this one as well. Shouldn't be a problem that I put the rest on, though. This is the part that the horn's attached to. I'm putting it on upside down. And like that. And now these are supposed to rotate. Let's see if that works. They are rotating. Okay. Now you can see they're spinning very slowly now. If I switch that forward, now they're really fast. It's also making a ton of noise. It also makes a lot of noise when it walks, from what I remember. Been a while since I've seen that though, because my original release Madthunder actually hasn't walked in quite some time. It's one reason why I'm really thrilled to be doing this. I have a Madthunder that actually runs. Okay, next I need 2 more parts that are probably buried over here in this giant parts pile that you guys can't see. Here we go. This goes on the side here. Actually, this actually does have something to do with the movement. More importantly, though, this goes on here. Okay, that's weird. It's really loose. Thought I'd done it wrong. We also have these parts here. I really like these. These look like big fat hydraulic parts that like drive the movement of the tail. You put them on like this, and then you put a cap on there like that. And now I actually need this. You know, this torso armor part that I tried to put on earlier in a part of the video that I may or may not have edited out. So where do I put caps? On here? Oh, yeah, obviously here and here, because these are the ones that just hold these in place. And then, yeah, 3 on here. This is funny too. See, only this peg is actually a peg that goes all the way through. The other 2 are actually decoration. Hold on a second. This has a bit of leftover nub on it. I would totally do this with my fingernail usually, by the way, but I don't want to embarrass myself. Okay. Camera seems to still be running. So, see, now you can see what happens here. See this spins. I don't know. I just think that's a cool gimmick. I mean, obviously, what they've actually done is they've adapted sort of the movement mechanics. You know, the gearbox. If this was actually the axle holding the leg, then the whole Zoid would be much shorter. So what they've actually done here is that they've come up with a creative way to build a massive, absolutely massive Zoid around what I guess is an Ultrasaurus size gearbox. Must be. No, I don't remember the size of the Ultrasaurus gearbox. It's been less long since I've built one of those, but it's probably the Ultrasaurus gearbox. I mean, why wouldn't it be? Why would they use a smaller one and then come up with a mechanism to sort of extend? I mean, come up with a trick to extend the walking mechanism, I mean. So, also, like, in this step, I'm going to stop for a second. Oh, man. Forgot my favorite part. All this yapping about how cool it is that there's the spinny thing. And then I forget to put on the second one. Okay. Just have to find the piece. And then I actually want to show you guys one of the things I really love about the design of the Zoid. Here we go. Come on. And like that. Okay. Oh man, I'm really enjoying this. This is probably more fun for me than it is for you guys to watch. Because Jesus, I'm building a Madthunder again. It's been so long. Okay, so just look at sort of the layers here. You know, we have the armor, and then we have all the mechanical parts that are hidden underneath here. I mean, they look like they're hidden underneath. There's nothing actually here, but they're poking through between the armor pieces. And then we have this armor that's a different shade of gray and actually sort of different in design. It just gives it, I don't know, it just has so much like depth to it, and yeah. Like I said, it's something about Madthunder to me has always screamed train engine. It's also actually one of the custom ideas that I have for it, but I'm not going to tell you guys about that because then someone's going to steal my idea. Anyway, I need one of these. Question is, which one is it? Do they have the number printed on them? They do. Okay, 23. This is actually going to go on the left side. Before I do that, I have to front leg. So this is probably one of the smaller feet that we need here. these all, in case you've never built a Zoid from the 80s, I don't know if you can see this here, but these parts all have their part numbers molded into them. Uh, and I mean, there's actually, with Gordos, actually, they put him, Gordos has these tubes on the side of its head, and they actually molded him in a really conspicuous spot there where there's an actual notch in the tubes, sort of to make room for the parts number. So in that case, it sucks a little. I've always hit this, the one thing about the Gordos that I've always hated. But here on the Madthunder, of course, I mean, look, just all these parts are so big. It really just, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's enough space. You can mold the name of whoever the genius was that designed this thing. That is not the right part. I love how I was going to say you can mold the name of whoever the genius was that designed this thing into every single part, and you still have enough, you're still not going to be visible. But I'm saying this while I'm actually having a hard time finding the part I'm looking for. So, B22. B22. This is 33. This is... this 22? This is 22. No. Yeah, it is 22. But that don't look right. Oh, like that. Okay. Okay, and now I need one more piece here. I think it's this one. 20. That's right. Okay, so here's how the legs go together. If I can remember how to do this. This goes here. And then this, the foot. Hold on, let me make sure I do this on camera. Foot goes here. And then you're supposed to put a cap here to hold the foot in place. And a cap here for the joint, which this Zoid has, because Zoids are supposed to have jointed legs. Takara told me. Do you remember? It was your people who designed this. And then this goes together like this, and unfortunately you end up with quite a bit of a seam line, and these don't align properly either. This is a common problem with the old Zoids models. Get this guy out of the way for it. No, I am not putting him over there. That's going to fall down. I don't want that to happen. Okay, now this is an leg. And to this leg, we must attach an armor piece. Number 24. This is 33. This is definitely not the right one. Looks like... that should be it. 24. Here we go. And 23. That's this one. Okay, let's go. It's a bit unwieldy because this thing is so big. Okay, that sniffling noise you just heard, that was me briefly thinking about making a That's What She Said joke, by the way. Which I have now technically not made, but, come on. Yeah, this is a bit fiddly. Wait a second. Okay, try this again. So this goes here. It's a lot like, it's pretty much actually sort of the Red Horn's walking mechanism. Come on. Okay, here we go. Honestly, most of the time, these pegs are like different lengths in a way that makes it really easy to put these limbs together. I have to say, in this case, not so much. That was unusually fiddly for one of these old models. But hey, that's a leg again. Mechanical detail, greebles out the wazoo, and then the nice armor on top here. Looks great. Now, hind leg. Same problem as before. Watch me try to find the right part. D25, no. That's it. Now, one of the big feet, and 26. Of course, I grabbed the wrong one. This is 26. And some things never change. Those of you who watched my earlier videos when I still filmed the entire build of the Zoids Wild Kits, you'll remember if there's two of a part, you know, and they're like mirror images of each other, whichever I'm looking for, I always grab the wrong one first. It's just a law of nature. Okay, anyway, as you can see, sort of the construction of this leg is more or less exactly the same as on the other side. We have this, basically the heel armor that also serves as the lower half of the leg that holds everything together, because they need to have joints, but they also need to actually sort of look a bit short and stumpy so that the overall proportions of the Zoid look right. This is number 29, hopefully. Yes, I actually got the right part the first time. You know, I'd say that's one of the first signs of the apocalypse, but I think we're already in the apocalypse. By the way, if you're wondering why I haven't said the C word yet in this video, there is apparently some sort of crackdown on YouTube, probably because of all the stupid fucking conspiracy videos that are already going around. And well, already going around. I say that like it's somehow surprising, or that like it's somehow surprising that it went quickly. But anyway, I'd rather not actually mention our new microbial friend, because I don't want this video to. I mean, I don't know what they actually do to videos that mention it. Excuse me. But I also don't particularly care to find out. Not to mention, I'm actually making this video to take everyone's mind off of it, right? So might as well not talk about it, because yeah. And now I've made myself depressed. That's why I've stopped talking. Anyway, I'm actually talking about something else, because I'm building the second pair of legs, and I've already commented on how those go together, so I can actually talk about something else in these few minutes that takes me. But I can't think of anything. That was me stretching my neck, checking the camera. Okay, front leg. We need the second one of these. Which goes on this peg, and then okay, now we have this fiddliness again of getting this leg in place. Excuse me, but like trying to do this in a spot where it's somewhat reasonably on camera and without sort of banging my head against the microphone and okay, here we go. One more cap to put this in place. By the way, I don't usually like take all the rubber caps off the I don't know if you'd call that a sprue. I guess it's a sprue. I don't usually take all of the rubber caps off, but I didn't want to be sort of twisting them off while I'm building this on camera, so I did take them all off before I started this build, and I was counting them, and it was actually all of the caps. Like it's a Gajula sized cap sprue, right? And I actually had to take all of them off. I'm real curious to see if I did the count right, and we're soon gonna find out, because we're actually nearing the end of the mechanical parts of this build, so I'm not going to be using many more caps. Like this. This is the second hind leg that I'm building right here, in case you're wondering. Again, like the other one, very simple stuff. We have the ankle armor, or heel armor if you want. That is basically also serving as the bottom part of the leg. Before I attach this leg, though, I would, once again, if I may, like to direct your attention to all of this beautiful detail here. Like the hydraulics and this grill back here. It's just such an awesome design. Anyway, if you were thinking I would at any point in this video stop gushing about how awesome the Zoid is, I will not, because it's Madthunder, and which means you're watching me build my favorite design in my favorite line of models, literally in the history of the human race. So that means I think it's pretty good, you know. Geez, I forgot to put the armor on the other hind leg. Can you believe it? Okay, wait. That is number 40, and it goes on here, right? And that looks about right. Okay. No idea how much of this is on camera. You see, just see how cool this looks once the armor is on. Of course, you know, everything's bare underneath it, but you don't see that, so that's fine. That's the one thing where they kind of skipped, you know. There's others that you can take the armor off and they still look good. You don't want to do that with Madthunder. There's nothing to see under there. But honestly, that's fine. Especially if and when I get around to painting this guy, I'm never going to take the armor back off anyway. You could, of course, you know, you could say, like, can't really do, like, a cool diorama with this, like, with, I don't know, you know, the armor stripped. The armor stripped, sort of, like, a repair bay or whatever. That's not going to happen with this model. That is true. However, it's Madthunder, and we're not going to question its superiority. Okay. Now, there's a peg underneath here that this attaches to. And now this, I'm going to get this wrong 15 times. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, I get it. Or do I? Hold on. All right. So here's the tail mechanism, right? These two pieces move like that, and that pushes this side to side, and there's a lever in here that controls the tip of the tail. So what happens is this. And as with all older Zoids, it's a little bit sort of jerky, but it works really well. Okay. Now. Whoa. Should probably put this on, huh? Just to hold this together. It's interesting that it didn't come apart when I turned it on, and now it is. I mean, I guess I appreciate the kit not making a fool of me by exploding in my hands while I was trying to demonstrate something about the engineering. So that's cool. Okay, now that's the underside of the tail done. Now, here's something I'm not crazy about. Typical Zoids design, of course. We have... I can't see what I'm doing. We have this armor, the armor for the tail. That is literally just these two halves There we go. It's a little hard to see under there because the light's coming from up top. And so, of course, for that reason, you end up with a seam line from hell. Like, look at this. And all the way down here, of course. I think the only solution to this that I can really think of is that I'm going to have to modify this, like the way it attaches on the inside, so that I can either like click it downwards, or just cut off the pegs and just glue it in place when it's done. We have a clamp piece here which is symmetrical, goes on here. We have more tail armor, also with horrible seam lines. It's just, this thing is, oh man, if I didn't have to do this on camera, but this thing is so big and it's so, there we go. I just can't see what I'm doing, basically. And if you're, like, when you're aiming for pegs that are essentially invisible, okay, here we go. Yeah, you can see here, like, this is really difficult to get this sort of, I left this for the time being. I'm probably going to try to fix that again with a file or something when I actually finish this thing, and you end up with a seam line here. This, though, you actually put together separately, and then you attach it like this, which doesn't detract from the seam line that you get. Wow, this is ugly. But this is going to be, you can just glue this together and then slot it on there. Now, I want to just direct your attention again to the design. This is like, this is like a design feature that runs all the way like along the side of the Zoid, where it's sort of made up of like the bottom armor and the top armor, and then there's a gap in between that exposes all this mechanical detail, of course, with the suggestion that there's a whole lot more of this going on underneath. It's so cool. Okay, now we get to the guns and the other fun stuff, yeah. Before we do that, it's the head though. Okay, now how am I going to do this on camera? Also, I think there is a cap that I forgot to put on, and it goes on right here underneath my favorite armor parts. Come on, you wouldn't stay in place before, and now you're being difficult. Okay. Since I probably can't hide that edit anyway, I'm just gonna tell you there was a cap that I forgot to put on, like under this armor piece, and then I thought there was gonna be more that I would have to take off, but I actually didn't, so the edit was actually not necessary. All I needed to do was take those two armor pieces apart, and put the cap on, but oh well. Anyway, I'm gonna try to assemble this thing's head on camera now somehow, because if I don't, then what's the point of this video? So the first thing that happens is we take this piece and we attach this to it, which is, I think, yeah, that's the cockpit hatch, exactly. The next thing we need to put together the horn that goes on the nose, which unfortunately is another case of massive seam line, but it's not a huge, but you can already see like this fits together pretty well. So a little bit of Tamiya extra thin, and we're golden here. It also has this, which like this I really don't understand. Like, is this meant to be like a panel line, or it's really weird. We also need the pilot seat, which I have here. And then we need to follow the instructions. So it tells me to put this on first, put the pilot seat in place, and then number 2, it says take this big fat giant armor piece and attach it to a peg you can't see. Like that. Number 2. Number 3, put this on. This is in case you're wondering why I'm being so weird about the numbers. This is all one step. It's all one step in the instructions, and it is like, it's not difficult, but it's just something I've noticed, like when I have to do these things on camera, I have to think about what I'm doing, I have to talk about it, I have to do it in less than ideal lighting conditions as well, because the lamp has to be in a certain place, and it just all kind of adds up to, whoa. Adds up to being a little more difficult than it needs to be. Okay, so this is together correctly now. The problem is that there's a piece that's supposed to go on the neck armor that actually helps keep it together, which is this guy, and I'm going to put that in place right now so that it doesn't pop apart again. I also have no idea why I remembered that. Like, I really don't. This is okay. Anyway, that's the Madthunder's head without the horns on. Seam line, unfortunately, and not one that I think I can fix. I really don't think so, because yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll think about it, but I'm probably just gonna live with, because you can really only see it here, and this face is downward anyway. So anyway, horns. The horns are next, and the horns are comprised of these 4 parts and these C-rings that I showed you guys earlier in the unboxing, and they go together like so. Put the big bruiser to the side here so I can show you guys this. This is a horn. This is another horn. Just go together like this. Perfectly masks the seam line though, or more or less perfectly. Also some nasty mold lines on a lot of these parts, by the way, but then, I mean, that's not a problem. I'm just going to scrape those off before I paint it. Then we put these C-rings on to hold these in place, and guess what? I did it wrong. You're not supposed to put these together like this. Of course, you're supposed to put them together on the actual mechanism so that they will actually rotate like that. And then this goes on top, and now see, this actually stays like this, because I'll show you in a second. Well, what just happened? That did not, because of course, see, this C-ring is facing this way, and so you want this one to face the other way, otherwise it looks pretty dumb. Okay, that is the horns, which rotate like that. That was fast mode, by the way. Now, next, the command bridge, which, of course, is already basically finished. We just need to put the hatch on top, which is these two parts, and a little radar dish. I love that. If you think about it being in scale, of course, it's not that little, but okay. Nah, it's just, you know when you scrape your finger on something and it feels like you missed a nub. That's what just happened. So here's this command bridge here, right? It has like a monitor and these two seats, and there's another seat that you attach like so. It's like, I guess this is like the captain's seat. You know, this is where Captain Picard sits. Make it so. Here's the glass for the window. And we have this. And we're done. That's the command bridge, complete with a radar dish. Now, we have this, I guess it's a targeting radar, who knows, for which we need this, and another cap. Oh, there they are. All right, this goes on like this. And is held in place with a cap like that, and then it snaps onto this like so, and then there's another mechanical piece that this attaches to that actually allows it to move sideways. See, like that. Okay, and then it goes on the side, and make sure I don't get this backwards, like this, see? And so you can now have it fall apart. What's actually supposed to happen is you can have this like point forward like that. Or you can have it on the side like that if you prefer. Yeah. Now, guns. And more seam lines, I'm afraid. These actually just go together like this. Le snap. And then there's the front of the barrel. So, for one thing, like to hold the parts together, and you can see the seam line's actually fairly negligible. Also, you have an actual barrel hole here, which is nice. Of course, I took the wrong part. Not that it actually mattered, but okay, we have to put this. Oh no! I am doing this wrong. This goes with. This is the front. See, it's really tight too. This goes on like this, and then you put a cap here, like so, and then we have the other two. They go together like this. Come on. That was the barrel. Okay, like that, and this part that this attaches to. I've always kind of wondered. This looks like a jerry can or something. Like why is it mounted on a jerry can? Okay. All right, that's the two cannons for the back, and then we mount them, and we seriously, I did count the caps correctly. This is the last one. It's the last one. And the mounting piece is this. This is the front. We have this goes on here, and this goes on here. And then you put this on the back like this, and realize you should have put this on first and then the guns. Right, take this one off because it's held in place with the last and final cap that came with the kit, like so. Yeah, and that's the guns mounted, if I can get it on camera. Now just a few more things. This is going to go on the underside. I have to put these together. Make sure I get that right. These are identical. The others are not. So we clamp this on like this, preferably without breaking it. Come on. All right, here we go. And on this side, here we go. These two, and the small gun for the back. So, Christ, this piece goes on the throat. These go on the legs, if I can remember where. Seriously? You see, these have like 2 pegs here, and then there's 1 peg hole here, but okay. Right, this one on this side. This looks like, seriously, it looks like it was originally designed for something else. It's a bit weird. And okay, so this goes on this side like so. And finally, the gun that goes on the tail. I am going to turn the page in the instructions just in case. And now, because now is the correct time to do this, now the instructions tell you to put the pilots in. I've always loved that. The instructions, it also tells you now to put the batteries on, by the way. It never tells you to put the pilot figures in before the Zoid is completely built. And I've, to this day, that's something I've always done. Like if I'm just snap building like a 72nd scale Zoids model, which is to say a proper Zoids model, come on, then never ever put the pilots in before it's done. Give the poor guys whiplash otherwise, you know, flipping it over a million times. And here we have, this is actually a pretty cool gimmick. Let's see if I can show this. When you, it's basically impossible to show. When you pull this up, the cockpit actually moves upward. I'm going to have to try to show you this in the photo booth somehow, because here, really, this is starting to drive me crazy here on the bench. All right, now the instructions say to put the batteries in, and they don't tell me where these 2 Empire caps go. Weird. Anyway, I'm gonna let this guy stomp over my bench one time, and then I'm gonna get him ready for his close-ups. Actually, never mind that. Let's take a look at this instead. I eventually found out where the 2 Empire caps go, and it's here on these guns. The point is that these protrude a little less than the Republic caps, and you might remember the 2 caps face each other, so this way there's a little bit of clearance between them. Just looks better. Also, as promised, here's a look at the cockpit with the hatch open so you can see the seat moves up when you open it. Given how simple this is, you half wonder why more Zoids don't have these kinds of gimmicks. Anyway, you guys want to check him out in action? Let's check him out in action. I got plenty more pics after this. First though, just listen. I remember the first time I turned on my original release Madthunder way back in the day. I just couldn't get over that stomping noise the front feet make. It's also noisy as all hell otherwise, which is usually not that great, but for this guy, works for me, man. Works for me. Sorry about the general scenery, by the way, but needless to say, it was impossible to do this inside the photo booth. The damn thing's just too big. Anyway, here's a look at the horns in slow mode. And here's fast mode. Okay, now before we get to pictures and whatnot, here's another goodie for you. This is the box of the original release. I'm sure it's just my nostalgia talking, but these box designs will just always be my favorite. Especially the old school Zoids logo with the caps. You can also see those bigger stickers I talked about earlier. Here's the back. Notice this box also has a picture of a confrontation with the Death Star, minus all the fancy Photoshop stuff, of course. And here are the sides. Also, here's the price tag. Just as a quick reminder, if you ever see one of these on eBay for $11 billion, this is what this thing actually went for back when it originally came out. I paid well over 10 times that much for this one, and the really fun part was that the reissue was announced literally within days of me actually receiving it. I will never forget that. Back then I was pretty pissed, but honestly it's been close to 20 years at this point, and I still smile every time I look up at the shelf where my OJR Madthunder is, so I'm gonna say I got my money's worth. So, first off, here's a closer look at the command bridge. Lots of nice detail here, of course. And well, here's some more pictures. As you'll see, it's impossible to catch this guy from an angle where he doesn't look good, and I'm not sure what else to say at this point. I really think the awesomeness that is Madthunder speaks for itself, so why don't you guys just go ahead and enjoy the pictures. And oh yes, of course this had to be done, and you know it. So that's it. That's my review of my favorite Zoid of all time. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me gush about how much I love this thing, because I'm sure glad I finally found an excuse to make this video. Not sure what's next around these parts. I'm waiting for 2 new Zoids Wild kits to come in from Japan, but who knows how long that's going to take under the circumstances. I do have at least one other build that I've been meaning to make a video about for months now, and come next month I'll finally have some time to build and paint stuff again, so we'll see. Until then, seriously guys, just stay safe, wash your hands, don't go out if you don't need to, and stop panic buying food and toilet paper. It's stupid and selfish. We're going to make it through this. It's just going to take some time and patience. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.